arguing with people. And one night, Joy and I, we were having a lively discussion. That's a politically correct way of putting saying an argument. And I just wanted out, and I wanted away. And Joy, she must have figured that this time was a little different than the other times, and because she wouldn't let me leave, she took the keys away from the vehicle, and I said, fine, then I'll just walk. And I walked, and with, I have to say at the time, I walked with the intent of not coming back, and she probably knew that. But by this point, was pretty exhausted physically and mentally, and I walked a couple hundred yards and ended up just laying down in the snow, and I told God, I can't take it anymore. Please help me. And then I went on to tell him everything else he already knew about me. But he was more interested in the first sentence, please help me. And I'd like to say that I got up from there and went back to the house, and everything in my life changed, but that's not true. Life doesn't just change overnight. You still have to deal with all the consequences of what your life was, and but God slowly was breaking my shell. First thing he did was he presented a ticket to Promise Keepers, and at this point I was still had an attitude and also a pretty thick head. It wasn't quite getting through to me yet, and so I decided I didn't really want to go there, Promise Keepers. So I went with the attitude that I didn't want to be there, and I didn't really. I got something out of it, but not much, and I ended up the next year though wanting to go, and I did get something out of it. The second year I went, and that was in the mid-90s. Then in '99, God presented me with an opportunity to go on a mission trip, and again, I was against it. I didn't really want to go, but I was kind of dumped into the situation, and I ended up going, and so I went with kind of a reserved attitude and really didn't participate maybe like I could have and should have. But the next year again, I wanted to go back to Guatemala. Is where I went on this mission trip, and it was good. God had really started breaking through to me, and I started to see God in everything and everyone around me, and it was those little children in Guatemala that kind of started to me to thinking, these are all God's children. We should treat everyone, and we come back, and we should love everyone. Isn't that God's greatest commandment? Is love Himself. Love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. And the second one is love your neighbor as yourself. I'd like to say that I love everyone equally, and I would not reach out in anger, but I'm not. If you would hurt one of my children, I think I would lash out in anger. But God doesn't do that. He loves us unconditionally, and I was starting to understand that, and at one point, Joy and we kind of really felt God working in our lives, and we had a conversation. This was before my diagnosis. What would we do? Would our faith still stand if some tragedy in our life happened? And or is this faith that we profess superficial? And we've had a chance to find that out. No, faith runs deep. Our faith. I'm going to read from this for a little bit. The foundation of my faith, is Hebrews 11:1. Faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. Faith, I put my hope and my faith in Jesus Christ, because even though I cannot see Him, I know that He's walking with me on this journey, with us on this journey. Another verse that I read every day and is part of our lives is from Corinthians chapter 4, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. Therefore, we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, what is unseen is eternal. As I look around each day, I see God's hand in everything in my life, everything that I need to get around, function, all the people that He puts into our lives, to the very breath that I still can breathe. I count it as a privilege that He's allowed me to keep my voice and speak. And with that privilege, that's why I'm here this morning, to share that